welcome Britt to the call, and you can go ahead and take the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. So, Coach Witt, I like what you said. We are the sum of who we hang out with. It's very much in relation to the questions I want to ask tonight, and we did not plan that. So, super
Good night.
cool. So before we get started, we're going to have a little bit of a Socratic conversation. I know, Gianna, I know you were here last time, so I'll just give you a little intro. Wait, you do Socratic conversation. Do I need to give a little intro or?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and just
Okay,
yeah, give us a credit.
sweet.
An intro.
Okay, so how I like to describe why I love Socratic conversations. Anybody like to work out? You can just raise your hand if you like to work out. Okay, cool. Awesome. Anybody like to lift weights? Yeah, sweet. Run, sweet. Love it. Um, Socratic conversations are like that for our brains. So I really love them. They're usually pretty short conversations. Sometimes the question is uncomfortable because it's either two equally great choices to choose between or two equally not so great choices to choose between. So that's where the exercise comes in for your brain. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Generally, these start with a little bit of context. And so you ladies are going to be the context of this conversation. So I want to start with a question and we'll do a little rapid fire response. I'll just call on you for time's sake. If you can't think of the answer right away, it's okay. But I challenge you to just say the first person that comes to mind. So the question is, who has been a coach or mentor? You don't have to say which just because she's on the call, but probably which. But who has been a coach, mentor, or teacher who has left an impact on you and why? So like I said, for time's sake, I'll just go around quick and you tell me the coach's name and what makes them stand out as a person of impact. So I'll start with you, Gianna, because you're at the top for me.
I'm gonna go with my sorry, horse riding, like kind of like trainer coach, because she has started with me from like almost the beginning, because I only knew the basics and I've like grown so much, I feel like. So I would go with her.
What's her name?
Um, Mary Beth.
Okay, Maribel. How about you, Isabel?
It doesn't have to be like a person within Apogee, right? It can just be any mentor that you've had in your life.
Any mentor, teacher, coach?
Then I would say my boss right now at the bakery I work at, Fausto, because I've been with him for almost 3 years now, and he's taught me like a lot between like business, like how to like project personality when you're working in the industry, and like even like obviously cooking. But yeah,
What's his name?
Fausto Echeverra.
Wow, that's a fancy name.
It's if I have to spell the last name, I'll write it in the chat because I have to look it up because I don't have it memorized.
Let's just help me understand the first name. Fosta, is that what you said?
Fausto, so FAU and then STO.
STO. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fosta. Very cool. How about you, Lydia?
Mine would be one of my friend's dad, Mr. Hutchin. Every time we started a business together, so he was like my business coach. And then every time I have any sort of big decision in life, we always get coffee and he helps me talk it over. And he's just been a mentor from high school, basically.
Love it. Love it. How about you, Nadia?
I would say my coach Noah.
Nora?
My coach Noah, so like has she's like always has like such good words of wisdom. So it's like whenever I'm like contemplating something or don't understand something, she's like has the perfect words to put it into a conversation for me.
Okay. And what is she the coach of? Is it a sport that you do or just, oh, we lost her.
A grappling class.
Say it again.
A grappling class.
Oh, grappling class. Very cool. I love it. How about you, Sarah?
Definitely my gymnastics coach, because like she taught me a lot of French because we live in Canada. And like even though I spoke English, She was like super welcoming and like she was super nice.
That's interesting. Did she teach you French on the side, or like did you learn during class
No,
during
she was
gymnastics?
just like when I didn't know words, she was like super like nice to me and like helped me a lot with my French.
Wonderful. What's her name?
Justin.
Oh, so many fancy names. Tell me again. Did you say Houston?
Justin with a J.
Houston. Oh,
Houston. Nice.
Houston. Very cool. How about you, Coach Witt?
Um, I would say right now is my CrossFit coach, and her name is Jean. And she really pushes me, like, she pushes me in a way that is like, almost like here's what she'll say. Like, I'll choose a weight for whatever exercise I'm doing, and she says, I think you can do more. And I feel like she's found me out. Like, she's like, and she's gonna say challenge accepted. So I feel like it's not a pushy thing. It's a suggestion, and she knows how competitive I am.
Love that. Okay, it's cool. It's cool to hear the different reasons, the different kinds of people who are pouring into your lives. Um, Sometimes I wonder, for me, when I look back and as I was preparing, I was prepared to have this conversation with our team at our Apogee campus. And as I was thinking back how I would be responding to this question, I can't look back at my younger life and say that there was a lot of teachers who or mentors who impacted me. Now it's different. As I've been in Apogee, this has been a completely different experience for me. But when before Apogee, I really didn't have anyone that I would have considered a mentor. I feel like I was always looking for someone. So it's interesting to think about for me as I'm getting ready to open our campus, because I wonder, I'm so passionate about what we get to bring to our community. I love being a coach for young people. I love thinking about who is the coach that I would have wanted, and I strive to be her, right? And so I often wonder if I had a strong support system, I wonder if I would be so passionate, or if or maybe I would be more passionate. I just wonder that often. And so my question is, what shapes someone more? Okay, so let me give you a little more context on why I'm asking this. So I struggled a little bit. My home life was a bit explosive, and I had a really hard time connecting with a mentor. And so I look back at my teen years as a little bit trying to find my people, and I didn't find them until I was an adult. And so I wonder, because of that, what shapes someone more? So I'm going to encourage you to take a stand on one of these two, and then I'm going to ask you why. So what shapes somebody more? Is it struggle or is it support?
Hmm.
I'll just go ahead and take them all.
Just call on people.
Just calling people. I was going to call on you, Nadia, because you look like
they're gonna pretend to be shy, and they're not really.
What about you, Nadia? Is it struggle or would you say support? What shapes who someone becomes? The struggles that they go through or the support that they receive?
This is kind of like one of those push-pull things because struggle like teaches you things, but support kind of like I don't know how to put it in words, but it's like yeah, sure, like going through struggle will like you'll learn things on your own, but having support, I think it helps you like I guess more like feel secure or something.
So if you had to take a stand, which one would you say shapes you more?
Think struggle?
Right. All right. So Nadia is taking a stand on struggle. Is there anybody who would agree or disagree with that?
I would agree because like you obviously need support and you need like people behind you because without it it's very it's like hard to like push yourself mentally past that. But I think struggle because of how much you learn from it and how much you have to adapt and like change to it to keep going. I think it kind of pushes you more to like still stay like going in that even when you have struggle there.
Right. So we have struggle winning right now. Is there anybody who says, no, I'd say support? Support maybe from, go ahead, Gianna.
I'm gonna go with support because I feel like having as a young person, that's what we're facing because um as a young person, because we're all like growing and learning, and we learn like as little kids from our parents. So if home life is like, I feel like more supportive and parents like support like that, give you opportunities and lead you towards the path, you will be able to kind of do better things and know that you won't fail and like you have that mentality if you're ready. And I feel like if your home life was more of like kind of like touch and go kind of little iffy parents like struggling, I feel like you would lean it kind of more towards the direction as you grow up and continue to learn. As like you kind of like opposites. So I'm gonna go with support.
Interesting perspective. I missed some of it, but what I heard you saying, what I think I heard you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that having outside eyes looking in. But I was interested in the last part of what you were saying. Because you said if you had parents who were like touch and go, you start to did you say do the opposite?
Well, I meant like the opposite of the like support. So you kind of like because I feel like when you're at home in like the first 10 like 15 years of life, that's like where you're learning because I feel like I learned a lot from my parents. And it just kind of like you're polar opposites from it. If you're the support, you're more, you have that mentality. And then if you have like a real struggle, you have that other mentality, just kind of different.
All right, so we have two for struggle, one for support. What do you think, Sarah?
I would say so. No, no. I would say struggle because like somebody with support, maybe they take it for granted, but if you grow up with like struggle with a mentor, then I think you'd want to create like a safe space for other kids who could deal with that problem.
Okay. What about you, Coach Witt? What do you say?
I would say struggle.
What about you, Lydia?
I would say support because I think true support encourages struggle in a sense. And I feel like the best type of support is support where you have someone that's there for you, but they're encouraging you to do the types of things that cause struggle. So I guess there's a relationship there. It's not really a one or the other answer, but I think that more, yeah, that's my answer. So in that sense, I say support, but that could technically be seen as struggle.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So with that in mind, in the middle of a struggle, say if somebody's in a challenging season, right? Um, and there's somebody who is there to support them, right? So somebody maybe on the outside looking in, an older mentor, a coach, a boss, someone's there to support them through this difficult season. Who is more responsible for making sure that the struggle shapes this young learner? So is the responsibility on the coach or mentor or boss, or is it on the learner?
Is
Let's
it
just,
kind of like the struggle is caused by the mentor trying to teach them something?
oh,
Or is it
that's a great question.
Just because if it's that, then it would probably be the mentor. But if it's just like a struggle and they're like the mentor is trying to help you through it, then
So
I
it's a
feel like it'd be
struggle. It's a struggle of a season. So maybe they're having a hard time finding their place, like in a friend group. Maybe they've lost a loved one, something like that. But they
then
haven't.
no, you're good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think it would probably be the one being mentored because the mentor is kind of there to guide you, but they can't make the choices and decisions to like move past and move on and like fix it. They can't force you to do any of that.
Okay, so you say it's up to the learner. Yeah. Anybody disagree with that? What do you say, Gianna?
I would agree with Isabel because that kind of makes sense how you said it. But
So you would say the learner is most responsible.
yeah,
She said only they can make their choice. So do you agree with her for maybe another reason, or you want to build off of that reason that she stated?
oh, I'm trying to think. This is a really hard question. But so as your example, if I was trying to like find new friends, I feel like to support a person, you have to like my kind like in that kind of support that was like I feel like going on, where the mentor kind of like puts the struggle on you. I feel like you as a person should find a solution like how do I make friends and how do I connect with other people? Like where can I find my connections and kind of like know that you can do it and having like that courage, that build off can I feel like really encourage you to find more challenges with the help of a mentor to kind of like propel you forward.
Okay. So I hear you say it's ultimately up to you to find the solutions, but the mentor can guide you, but ultimately it's you. Okay. How about you, Nadia?
I agree with it because it's like it all depends on how the learner takes it because it's like the saying where you can lead a horse to like the water, but you can't make it drink it.
Interesting that you mentioned that. My son said the very same thing yesterday. This is so interesting to me. Okay. Sarah, what do you say?
I feel like I'm sort of in the middle for this one because I feel like it really depends on like the person's like learning style. And like sometimes if like let's say your example like they like have no friends or something, like you shouldn't leave them on their own like that because that can be really scary. But like you should give them guidance, but don't like leave them in the dark. Like it should be their choice if they want to change.
Okay. So it sounds like you might be leaning towards the learner, maybe, but are you still feeling stuck in the middle? Or did it help you figure out where you're at saying it out loud?
Yeah, I don't know still. I'm kind of like I don't know.
No. I might come back to you. What do you say, Lydia?
I've been going back and forth, but can you repeat the full question? So is
Sure.
it that the just repeat it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
In the middle of a struggle, a challenging season, as maybe somebody passed away or there's just have an explosive household like I experienced, who is more responsible for making sure the struggle shapes a young learner?
okay. I
Is it
think
the
I'm
coach?
gonna stick with I think it's the coach.
Okay.
And my perspective in this is almost like when you're raising kids or something like that, or like raising a puppy, they it's their first experience in this, and you're the one that's actually raising them. So it's up to you to kind of cultivate what that's like in their outlook in life. And it does depend on the relationship between the mentor and the mentee. So that's a big caveat there. But I think that at least providing them the tools to see the struggle in a certain light, and to encourage them to really learn from it. I feel like the mentee should feel that drive to do that, but yeah, so that I would say the mentee or the mentor.
Okay. All right. We still have learner winning. What do you say, Coach Witt?
Like I really, I'm kind of where Sarah is, where I'm like flip-flopping back and forth on each side. I think it is based on an understanding. So if there's permission from the person who is struggling, to say like, hey, I want your help, then I think it's on the coach to give them a direction, not necessarily fix it, but to give them a direction in which they can seek the answers for themselves.
Okay. Did any of that help you, Sarah, kind of decide which side do you lean toward more?
Yeah, like I think I agree with like Coach Witt. Like, sorry, the air ventilator is just going off. Like it should be like a learner's choice to like ask for help when they need it, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so we're kind of split down the room right now. So I'm just gonna ask a few more questions to see if we get any shifting. So who ultimately carries the lessons forward? Who carries the lessons forward? Is it the coach who guides, or is it the learner who lives them out? So the coach who guides or the learners who live them out? Who ultimately carries the lessons forward? Is it
I feel like it still would be the learner because if the mentor is only there because while the learner is willing to learn, like continue on. If the mentor is trying to if you're trying to mentor someone that just does not want to do the work or move forward, they're like you're literally just talking to a wall. It's not going anywhere. So I think it would still be the learner because you can't force free will.
okay? Interesting. So what I hear in all of that is an echo of like the learner's responsible to show up, and ultimately that's the first move.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Nadia? Who carries the lesson forward? Is it the coach or the learner?
I think I agree with Isabel because, yeah, what she said about it being like this, the mentor can want to like help you further, but if you don't want the help, then it doesn't really work.
Okay. What do you think, Gianna?
Um, my first thought was that maybe it was the mentor, as the mentor is the one teaching the student and leading them through the challenges as they grow. But then I went to my other thought about the students and back to how they make the choices. But I think I'm gonna go with mentor as I say out loud because it just makes more sense for the mentor to propose a challenge. Because I'm reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad book right now, and I really I like how he like proposes a challenge and then or puts the challenge up to the kids, and he doesn't tell them like the actual challenge, but he just puts it up there and like how that works. But I don't want to go on and on.
Okay, so ultimately you say it's the coach who carries the lessons forward. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 for the learner who carries the lessons forward, 1 for the coach. What about you, Sarah?
Like probably the coach, because like they're the person with like all the information to share, and like, you know, when you're a learner, you don't really know anything. I mean, you do, but it's really the coach who kind of like shares like how to get where you want to be. I don't know how to explain it.
You explained it well. The coach
Thank
has the
you.
knowledge of you, the coach can see where you want to be. And so ultimately you're saying the lessons that carry forward, that are going to carry them forward, ultimately up to the coach. Okay, split down the middle again. Here we are. What do you think, Coach Witt?
I'm gonna say it's up to the learner to take the action, and I'm gonna use what I think it was Nadia that said, I don't remember. It was either Nadia or Gianna that said you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Is that as a coach, I can give all of the information to you. I can teach you a lesson, but really it's up to you to take that into your life and create action and results. I can't do it for you as much as I want to. And I see that like with even with like my kids, I'm like, I see this, and if I could just do it for you, I would, and then life would be so much easier. But no, I'm not actually teaching you anything if you don't go and do it for yourself.
Hmm. What about you, Lydia?
I also think that it's the learner for 2 reasons. First, because I think that the lesson is meant for the learner. So if the coach went through the relationship and the effort to create the lesson, I feel like it should be on the learner to, if they resonate with it and the relationship between the mentee and mentor was good, it should be on them to carry that throughout the rest of their life and then eventually maybe become a mentor to future people and have the same lesson go on and on and on. And then the second reason would be that the relationship won't last forever. And the mentor is normally older than the mentee. So maybe they'll, retire or, pass away eventually. And so it, to me, makes more sense for it to be the younger person in that sense as well. And just to hold on to the lessons you have because you don't know when that relationship will fracture for any which reason.
I didn't think of it in that way that you just described it, but you're talking about not only carrying the lessons forward, but like forward in the future. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and then like for example, I was thinking of the challenge that we have in the young women's group where you will eventually be a mentor to someone, but right now we're mentors, so it's kind of like taking things that older people teach you and dispersing them through younger, yeah, over time. I kind of see it as like a timeline.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so we're a little more like leaning towards learner responsibility here. So because of that, let's think through who creates the environment that makes growth possible. I mean, you showed up here today. Um, Coach Witt sent out the link, or Lydia sent out the link. But who creates, because of that, does she create the environment to make growth possible? Or is it up to you as a learner?
Okay, this one's harder, but this one I feel like it would be the mentor because as someone that like I don't really mentor anyone unless they're like really young, but for me as like a mentee, when I want to learn something and I go to somebody like say like if it was my boss and I want to learn something, how they present it to me is kind of like makes me debate like whether I actually want to be learning that or not. But at the end, like after that, back to the first question that we had, it would be like my will to continue learning. But I feel like how the mentor sets up that environment is really important. So I would say mentor for that one.
Anybody want to disagree? Or Nadia, go ahead.
Okay, so I was kind of debating this one as well because if we put it in the sense of Apogee, like my mom got me into Apogee and it was like up to me whether I showed up to the calls and stuff. But then now that I really think about it, I think it's honestly on the mentor because the way my mom showed me Apogee made me want to do Apogee. And if she would have like introduced it as like, oh, you have to do this, or like it's like such a negative way, I wouldn't have wanted to do it like at all.
Interesting. Okay, so you're putting your mom as the mentor in this scenario of thinking through this dilemma, and you're saying she ultimately created the original environment for you to make the choice. Okay, so far for this one, who creates the environment? Is we've got 2 for coach. Is there anybody who disagrees and says it's the learner? Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to go to the last follow-up question, and then I'm really curious where we land. I'm going to go back to that overarching question and ask it again to see if we're still the same. So, if the learner gives up in a struggle, who carries more blame? Is it the coach for not pushing or pulling them through? Or is it the learner for not persevering? The learner gives up, who carries more blame? The coach for not pushing or pulling them through, or the learner for not persevering? Go ahead, Nadia.
Okay, this one I think is the learner because I have mentored like because in my gym I'm an assistant coach, but I've had to help out little kids, and sometimes like when little kids like have it in their mind that they're not gonna do something, it could be like giving them like the best situation or like doing like things that would like they would want to do, but if so, as long as they're stuck in their head and they don't want to do it, then I can't really get nowhere with them. So I think for this one it'd be the learner.
Okay. So you think in those kinds of scenarios where kids have their mind made up that they're just not going to do the thing, there's no amount of environment setting up. Well, yeah, if they give up, there's no amount of environment setting up that can put the coach more in control. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else on this one? If a learner gives up, who carries more blame? What do you say, Isabel?
Okay, this one's hard because like I keep mixing like blame with guilt. And I feel like because I've been a mentor trying to teach something, and then I've also been the mentee that's given up. So like I feel like blame wise, it would probably be the like one learning, like the learner, because like the mentor is still there for them. They still want to teach them, so they still want to help them like carry on and to learn new things and like pass those things down. And the like learner is the one giving up on it. But like guilt wise, I feel like the mentor would still feel like, oh, well, I didn't do enough. Like maybe I didn't explain this right. Maybe I didn't push hard enough. Maybe like the environment wasn't correct. But I feel like blame wise, it would definitely be the learner.
Okay. All right. So we have learner for sure winning right now. The learner gives up, who carries more blame. What do you say, Gianna?
Honestly, this made me think of my science teacher, and I feel like, okay, in my opinion, he might not be, but I feel like he's really lazy. And those 2 science teachers, and they split the 7th grade up into these 2 teachers. And my friend is in one of these classes, and she tells about doing all these experiments and doing a whole different curriculum than us. And I feel like all we do is sit there and read the slides. And I just feel like taking it upon me to make science more interesting could like to make a science class actually useful would be like kind of what this student is kind of in situation. So I feel like it should be the learner.
Okay. So the learner carries more blame for not persevering, even in a boring science class. Okay. Interesting. What about you, Sarah?
I think it's like probably the learner, cause like I feel like, or it depends on like your relationship with your mentor. Like if it's like your mom, I mean, like they can force you to do something, but if it's like somebody like that you don't have like you're not really close with, then it's sort of your responsibility and you carry the blame. I mean, I don't know.
That's an interesting, I'm curious what you mentioned your mom. So if it's mom, does that mean it's
Yeah, like
different?
she could like sometimes if my mom really wants me to do something, she's like forces me to. She's like, you should like do this and like sometimes it's just really like a battle of will, I guess. Like if I don't want to do it.
I can
So
understand
I don't
that.
know.
I have a
Yeah.
14-year-old daughter. So do you say, so if it's mom as the coach and you give up, who carries more blame?
Mm, probably me, cause like I was the like one who started it. Like if it wasn't my mom, then it would probably be like I would never have an opportunity to do whatever it was. So
Hmm. All right. Well, I have loved this. It's so interesting to hear from you ladies. I'm curious where we are now that we've kind of dug through some follow-up questions about what that looks like for the responsibility for a learner and a coach or a mentor. So let's go back to that first one and let's just see if anybody has shifted just by a raise of hands. So in the middle of a struggle, who is more responsible for making sure the struggle shapes the learner? So is it the coach or the mentor? I'm sorry, is it the coach or mentor or is it the learner? So raise your hand if you say the coach. Okay, raise your hand if you say the learner. Okay, we stayed the same. We stayed the same. Did any does anything stand out from anything that anybody said in their reasoning that made you think about shifting?
I think I went back and forth and back and forth on it because there's different scenarios where the responsibility is on the mentor or the coach, and there are responsibilities on the learner because it takes both. It's like a tango, right? It can't just be all one side. It's like being on a seesaw. It can't just be all one side. It has to be that you're going back and forth because there's not really anything that's happening. So it's a give and receive. I think Nadia said it first. It was like a push and a pull the entire time. I love that.
What do you think, Isabel?
This one definitely had a lot of thinking, and I said the learner first, right? Because I don't really remember when you asked the question again. I didn't
You
remember
did.
what I said.
You
Okay.
said learner.
There was definitely a lot of times though when like I would be very set in like what I was thinking, and then someone else would start talking, and then I was like, oh, but that makes sense like in that light too. Like kind of like thinking of it like changing the perspective because I can see it through like from being the learner, I can see it from my own like perspective, but then like listening to like Lydia and like coach Lydia and coach Witt, it was very much like, oh, but you can also see it from like their perspective and how they're seeing it. So I think it was definitely, there were a lot of times that I went back and forth.
What do you say, Nadia?
Okay, so I went back and forth with this one as well. I ultimately picked learner, but when I thought it would be mentor was because definitely how things get introduced has a big impact on how the learner will take it. Because like like I said, if you're reprimanding someone for like if they ask you for advice and you automatically go to like the negative, then I wouldn't exactly want to take the advice. But
Hmm.
it was like a like yeah, I've been through this and it's kind of like relatable and they're like talking, you're having like a conversation about it, then I think that the learner would take it in a better light.
Hmm. I like that reflection. It almost goes back to what you shared about just sh- creating the environment. That's the biggest responsibility for the coach or mentor. Cool. Anybody else? Well, thank you for sharing your perspective on that. It was really interesting to hear you, and I love hearing that so many of you are taking advantage of the opportunity to be mentors yourself. That's really encouraging to me. Appreciate you, ladies. Anybody want to share anything they learned about themselves through this wrestling in your mind? Uh,
While they're deciding, I just want to put this out there that as we're talking about this, I was reflecting on like mentors when I was young, like you guys are. And remembering that it's this woman came into my life. She was not my mom. And at the time it was like my mom had a lot of great information, but there were times where it was like I don't want to be led on these particular topics by my mom because she's my mom. But I had someone who was my mom's age who was guiding me through things, and it was just bringing up a lot of memories about that. And it was like the environment, like there were so many good questions that you were presenting, Britt, that were like, oh wait, and I can see how, but it was my responsibility to do it here, but then it was her responsibility to show up here. And it's really good for me to hear this as a mentor, as a coach, to be able to come in and hear from you ladies on how you feel like it's my responsibility in terms of presenting. And I think it was you, Nadia, that said, yeah, my mom said, or maybe it was you, Gianna. I can't remember. For some reason you guys crossed right here when you say stuff. But you were like, okay, mom said you should join this thing, but the way she presented it was in an open fashion that you wanted to be a part of it. So this has been great.
I also thought that was interesting. I never thought of how mom can present something as preparing the environment, I don't think. So it's beautiful. Anybody else want to share anything you learned about yourself through this wrestling? And or how will you put it into action? I'll pull a Coach Wood on you. What's your action item?
I think since I talked about science class, I've been lazy and never actually put my ideas in motion. So I think after this call, I'm going to put what I said into motion and not throw rocks at my windows. But yeah, I'll have to come up with ideas for that. I'll probably ask ChatGPT. That'd be good.
So when you do, Gianna, post it inside of our group. Like when say, hey, like on the call, I talked about science class and this is what I plan to do with it after you figure out what that action is. And it doesn't have to be big because a lot of times we go, oh, well, we need to like walk on the moon or it doesn't count. It can literally be something really small that just pushes you in a direction.
How about you, Lydia? Coach Lydia? Sorry.
Yeah, I just really like these conversations, and I was just this isn't specific to mentor versus mentee, but just Socratic conversations and being able to dialogue back and forth and kind of force yourself. I was just thinking about how whenever I go to dinner with someone or hanging out with my parents and they have friends over. Like these are always my favorite types of conversations when you're going back and forth and you're really having to think hard and people are changing your mind. And so I'm just excited that we're doing this, and it's good to kind of practice so you know how to bring it up in your own social scenarios and stuff like that. So it really has my wheels spinning on how I'll Socratic conversation with all sorts of people in my life.
Love that. Love that. Go ahead, Isabel.
Okay, this one's kind of like random off like on the topic, but I did kind of realize at the beginning of the discussion, I love like I loved like having the conversation because I loved like these types, but I did realize that I'm very like stubborn almost because as soon as the topic would come up and I'd be like, "Oh, I think that." And then someone would say like something else, then I'd be like arguing with myself like, "Okay, but that makes sense." But then I'd be like, "But no, I said that, so that like that's what I'm deciding, like I can't go back on it." And it was kind of like throughout the entire like call, it was kind of like reminding myself like it's supposed to make you think and you're supposed to be able to see from different perspectives and you're allowed to change your views on things and you don't have to be like set in one way. So I think that was definitely the hardest thing about the call was like not like allowing myself to think differently and not just being like, okay, well, I said this once, so it has to be that again.
Isn't that such a cool idea, Isabel, that you can bring this into your actual life that's not just on, these Zoom calls that you're like, yeah, okay, I can have my perspective and here's my perspective on this thing. And I'm open to hearing other people because we've got 7 people on this call tonight and everybody participated. So it's 7 different voices, including your own that you're like, okay, like what if I'm open to seeing it from her perspective and I can see her perspective and then still come back around to mine and not being so closed off to things. That's
Yeah.
the beautiful part of this.
Go ahead, Nadia.
Okay, so what I learned is that I think I need to take people's advice more because sometimes I can get really strong-headed. So like for example, the other day this is actually why I had to take a break from my fighting was because so in grappling to be specific, I thought like okay, that's fine, like there's like a new person and sure he's a man that's like 3 times my size, but I was like, I'll still go with him anyway. So then I went and I ended up hurting myself like really bad. And my mother before that had told me you shouldn't go with anybody that's not your size, not yet at least. Like, because like my mentor, even she had told me before that even she never goes with like a male that's like twice her size unless she like can trust them because they can really hurt her. So and like instead of taking the advice, I kind of just like put it in the back of my mind and I was like, I'll be fine. So then I went and I hurt myself and I was like, dang it. Because then it cost me like 2 weeks of just like sitting down, not doing nothing. And I really didn't like that.
Mm. I like how I like how this conversation has had you just kind of sifting through where is your responsibility as a learner and where is the coach's responsibility. That's really neat reflection from your own life. Very cool.
Absolutely. Because think about like coach and mom, who's also your biggest fan and coach, says these particular things, and then you're the learner and you're like, but I'm going to try this out. And sometimes that's when Britt brought that up, the struggle, sometimes that's our biggest thing. And look what you've learned from your struggle of sitting back and now watching for however long because you're hurt. What about you, Sarah?
Definitely like a lot I learned about in the conversation is like the topics we touched on, like taking responsibility, kind of like a wake up call for me. Lately, sometimes I haven't been taking responsibility for myself, so like that's good. And I also learned that like I really like debating. Like that was actually really fun. Usually I don't like like conversations like that, but this one wasn't like it was fun.
Do you think because sometimes, like in this scenario, it was a debate, not a confrontation?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I don't like confrontation, but I like an open platform where we can go back and forth and hear other people's opinions where it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel threatening. It doesn't feel like you're confronting me. You're just saying, yeah, but I see it from this side of things. Yeah, I like that too. All right. Well, Britt, this has been amazing.
Oh, I had so much fun. Thank you for this was such a blessing to me. I was like, I really want to know what young women think about this because I was so surprised at what the adults that I was speaking with yesterday thought. And so this was really beneficial for me. So thank you for having me, ladies. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you are always welcome back, and I'm sure we will have you back on here because it really like it challenges my brain too to just be like to go back and forth. And ladies, I would bring this back into, remember the action, the lesson that you learned from tonight, and bring that action into your life this week. And maybe that action is, and I'd love to hear you guys like get on and make a video about like what your biggest action or takeaway from tonight's call was, but what your action is for the week in terms of this. Because when we can take what we've learned and actually bring it into our life, then we learn and we move forward, right? So it's like and one of my biggest takeaways from tonight is, hey, what if I just saw it and I sat like in her chair for a second and listened to what she had to say? How can I bring that into my life this week? So if I do get in a confrontation with someone that I disagree with, what if I decide that it's not a confrontation and it's actually just hey, I'm open to hearing someone else's perspective? Ladies, thanks for being here tonight and taking the time out to come. And Britt, again, thank you so much for being here tonight and leading us through this amazing Socratic conversation.
Thank you. And thanks for everybody's participation. So fun.